All right, so today we're going to talk about graphing linear equations in standard form, a little bit different than in slope-intercept form. And I've already see a typo here. This should say if a linear equation is in standard form, you can either graph it using the intercepts or rearrange the equation to slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So standard form, simply ax plus by equals c, where a and b are both not zero. If they both were zero, we'd have zero on the left-hand side. We wouldn't have an equation. So the first method, using the intercepts, sometimes called the cover-up method, we find the x-intercept by letting y equal 0 and solving for x. So we cover up the y and solve for x. Then for the y-intercept, we let x equal 0, solve for y. So here we cover up the x and solve for y. And we'll certainly show you examples of this. Then you would plot the x-intercept and the y-intercept and connect with the line. The second method, you're going to rearrange the equation algebraically. So you're going to go from ax plus by equals c and rewrite it in the form y equals mx plus b. Get the y by itself, and then graph the line using the y-intercept and the slope. So we're going to graph the equation using method 1 and then using method 2. So using method 1, I'm going to find the intercepts. So I'm going to find the x-intercept. And that's when y is 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover up the y. And so if I cover up the y, I have 3x equals negative 12. Divide both sides by 3 to figure out what x is. And x is negative 4. Then I'm going to find the y-intercept. For that, I'm going to set x equal to 0, or I'm going to cover up the x and solve for y. A little bit different here. The negative stays with the 6y. So we get negative 6y equals negative 12. If I divide both sides by negative 6, y equals positive 2. So if I graph that, the point negative 4, 0, that's right here. And 0, 2, it's right here. And I'm going to draw a line. Wow. That line didn't work out so well. There we go. That looks better. So there's my line based on using the intercepts. Now let's try it using method 2. So for method 2, we're going to rearrange to get it in the form y equals mx plus b. So I want to get the y by itself. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. So 3x minus 3x, that's 0. I'm left with minus 6y. On the right-hand side, I can't combine. I just need to write this as minus 3x minus 12, or negative 3x minus 12. Can't combine x's and things without x's. Then the last thing I need to do, divide by negative 6. And on the right-hand side, when I do that, I'm actually going to divide each piece by negative 6. To me, it helps. So the negative 3x over 6, negative 6, sorry. Negative over negative makes it positive, and 3 divides into both 3 and 6. So that's going to give me a positive 1/2 x. And negative 12 divided by negative 6 is positive 2. So graphing that with my slope-intercept form, I go to 2, which you'll notice was the y-intercept from the previous method because it's the same line. And the slope is 1/2, rise of 1, run of 2. Rise of 1, run of 2. And I could do that as many times as I want. And there's my graph using the rearranging method. All right, so another example, graph each equation, state the coordinates of the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So because I'm asked for the x and the y-intercept, I'm going to use the cover-up method. So first cover up the y. So I have x equals 10. That was pretty easy. Then to find the y-intercept, I cover up the x. So I get 4y equals 10. If I divide by 4, and I reduce, I would get 5 over 2, which as a decimal, that is 2.5. And probably easier to work with the decimal, which I know is shocking to hear Mr. Gingrich say, but it is actually a little bit easier. So if I graph my 2 points, over 10 up 0, and over 0 up 2.5, and I have to estimate 2.5. I'm not really happy with that estimate. There we go. And draw my line. Here's another one. I'm going to find my X-intercept and my Y-intercept. So find my Y-intercept. I'm sorry. Find my X-intercept. I cover up the Y. Negative 2x equals 8. Divide by negative 2. X equals negative 4. To find my Y-intercept, I cover up the X. Remember that negative stays with the 4y. So I have negative 4y or minus 4y equals 8. Divide by negative 4. Y equals negative 2. Graph those points. 0, negative 4. I'm sorry. Boy. Negative 4 is 0. And 0, negative 2. And there's our equation. And the graph of our line. All right, one for you to try on your own. Please pause your video and try this one. And then once you've got it, turn your video back on and check your answer. For this one, I would try actually solving it to get it in the y equals mx plus b form. You don't have to. Actually, let me show it both ways. Okay, for some reason this isn't working. All right, so if I use the cover-up method, and it doesn't ask to list the intercepts, I'm going to list them anyway. My X-intercept is when y is 0. And so we would have 3x equals negative 9. Divide by 3. X equals negative 3. For the y-intercept, I cover up the 3x. And I get the opposite of y, or negative y equals negative 9. Divide by negative 1. Y equals 9. So graphing that over negative 3, up 0, over 0, up 9. Draw my line. So that would be the cover-up method. If you solve it into the y equals form, this one's actually not bad. I would subtract 3x from both sides. the biggest thing to remember, you can't take 3x and subtract 9 from it because they're not like terms, they can't be combined. Then divide everything by -1. So we get y. -3 divided by -1 is +3, and it has the x with it. -9 divided by -1 is +9. Now, when you graph the y-intercept like we did yesterday, now the slope is 3. So I can't go up 3/1. It's like 3/1 because there's not enough room. So this is where I have to think about moving negative. So 3/1 is the same as -3/-1. So if I go down 3 and left 1, that will work. And I could do that forever. And again, if I've done this correctly, it should look exactly like the last graph that I drew. All right. Vertical and horizontal lines. So the general form for a vertical line, because it never crosses the y-axis, it's going to be x equals whatever value it crosses the x-axis at. We're just going to be very general and call it some value c. A horizontal line will always be in the form y equals some value, I don't know, maybe we'll call it d. Because it will never cross the x-axis. So whatever axis it doesn't cross, you leave that variable out. So a couple of graph the line, state its slope, tell whether it's horizontal or vertical. So y equals 7. Remember, that means I'm going to cross the y-axis at 7. And I'm not going to cross the x-axis. So it's going to go that way. This is a horizontal line. And the slope is 0. X equals -4. Crosses the x-axis, does not cross the y-axis. So like that. This is a vertical line. And the slope is undefined. All right, when the line, graph the line y equals -1, state its slope. So you're going to tell, is the line horizontal or vertical? And then what is the slope? Go ahead and try this one. Again, pause your video. And as soon as you get it done, go ahead and restart your video, check to see how you did. Graph y equals -1. So -1. And it's not going to cross the x-axis. That is a horizontal line, and the slope is 0. All right. Have a great weekend and good luck on your homework. And I will see you on Monday.